Good morning, friends. Welcome to Coffee Talk with Ashley and Locke. This morning we are doing our coffee talk earlier because we're going on a homeschool family adventure and it's kind of far away and we'll be gone all day. So we started early. He might take a couple minutes because I think everybody was still eating breakfast. I had something I wanted to say. I left the building. Hi, Hannah. There he is. He's coming. What a crazy morning. Crazy, crazy morning.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Sounds hectic down there.
Oh, yeah. It's like, well, we're going to talk about listening today, right? And I think I've said, all right, time to quiet down maybe 5 times in the past 30 seconds, and nobody's listening.
Yeah, it's kind of
So,
a crazy difference.
yeah, it's a different time. I'm just trying to adjust the brightness. I can't even see anything on the phone. It's so early and dark. I
You're,
can't see anything.
yeah, you're just blurry.
Yeah, my hand was in front of the camera so that I was trying to turn my screen brightness up. Hey, Hannah. All right. So, did you explain why we changed the time?
Yeah, I don't think Hannah, though, because she came in between. We're going on
So,
a school,
yeah, go ahead.
homeschool family adventure, and it's a little bit far away. So,
Yeah, in the words of our 2-year-old, um, going on venture, going on venture. So, all right, let's get started because we're on a little bit of a time crunch.
yes, we are.
Um, we got a quote. People are yelling at each other. It's very distracting. What?
Yeah, I have older,
let's
so
let's just like turn the camera on them and it could be like a sitcom or more probably reality TV. It could be keeping up with the Hammond kids, and we could just watch them scream at each other. All right, so you shared a post. I don't remember where it was from. Doesn't really matter. And it had a really good quote, and I think it made you stop and say wow, and it made me stop and think. So the quote was, "Deep listening is an act of surrender. We risk being changed by what we hear." Um, and I think it resonated with both of us. So what are your thoughts on that? Go ahead and start. No pressure.
for sure.
I need more of this.
I mean, you can come at this from a lot of different points. I think the act of listening is like really lost for most people because it's just like we want to say what we want to say. Um, I think it's a practice. It's a form of a practice, like truly honestly listening to other people and not waiting for it to be your turn to talk. And I know for myself, I struggle with this one, especially if I'm with somebody and we're talking about something that I'm super passionate about. I have a really hard time just like kind of sitting there chilling and listening because I'm just so excited. Um,
For sure.
but I think through having kids, you especially learn this because like they want you to listen to them and they really, really want to be listening. And it's easy for us to just like yeah off or like we're listening, like pretend we're listening or and distracted with a thousand other things. And they're like, "Are you listening to me? Like I know you're not listening
Well,
to me."
we have kids who will call us out on not listening. Yeah. Yeah, I'm laughing because you're hitting a number of points that I wanted to talk about, and I agree with the kids thing. Um, and I was thinking about it from a little bit of a different framework. They do want to, they certainly want you to listen to them, but it's like I forget what we were talking about last week or a couple weeks ago. gratitude. Being grateful in the moment is really hard, right?
Hmm.
Listening in the moment is really hard. It is, you said it's a practice. It's definitely a practice. You have to prepare for it. You have to practice for it. You have to like be intentional. I'm going to shut my mouth and let Ashley talk today kind of attitude. But then you get in the moment and you lose it, right?
Hmm.
So with the kids, it's very easy to lose it in the moment because it's like, okay, yeah, what's your point? And but I was thinking about it with with our kids. Sometimes the younger one, especially, and as they were when they were all younger, anybody with young kids knows that the kids are good practice for listening because sometimes you don't know what the hell they're saying. Like literally, the words are not clear. And so if you want to understand, you actually have to slow down, stop what you're doing. Sometimes like look at their mouth as they talk for me
Hmm.
to try and like piece together the words. And you actually have to be present. So I think the kids are a good practice, whether you mean to or not. It's a good thing, you know, when you're talking to you know, a year and a half old kid or whenever, you know, they start talking and you really want to hear what they're saying. Maybe we should listen to everyone the way we listen to toddlers whose words we don't quite understand perfectly. Maybe we should be doing that to everyone.
That's awesome. I didn't even think of that, but you're right. And then if you're not like listening and you're trying to yep them off, they get frustrated because they want you to understand what they're saying and you
They'll just
don't
scream at
understand.
you.
Yeah, so if you're not paying attention, like they will get frustrated because they're like, I want you to get what I'm trying to say to you, and you're not going to get it if you're not paying attention. If you're not truly listening, you're not going to like you'll be like, I don't know, I don't know what you're trying to say. Um,
Yeah.
that's a really good point.
The obvious, the elephant in the room point that I'll just mention quickly, and then I mean I don't think we need to say anything more than put your phone down when somebody's talking to you. Like
Yeah.
enough said about that. I can't tell you how many
Oh.
meetings I've been in, whether they're one-on-one meetings or like group meetings, trainings where I'm running a training or running a board of directors meeting and somebody is sitting across the room on their phone and I know they're not doing it to be disrespectful, but obviously they're not listening, right? So
Hmm.
I know for you and I, we're in our relationship, I would say 95% of the time we can do it nicely. And it's very rare that either of us picks up a phone when the other person is talking, but 95% of the time we can say it nicely and just be like, are you, are you done? Are you doing something important?
Hmm.
Like, I think, I don't know, we don't need to beat that one up. That one's kind of obvious. You can't be listening if you're on your phone. And I see that way too much.
Well, I see that even with so see because kids don't understand when you're busy doing something. So even if I'm in my phone, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm in on social media or like I could be reading an article. I read a lot of things on my phone. Um, and so it's easy for parents to be like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And you're really yapping them off while you're in your phone because you are in the middle of doing something, but they don't
Yeah.
understand that. So you're yapping them off, but they don't understand. They don't understand. They feel like they're not being heard. But you're like, can't you see that I'm in the middle of doing something?
Right.
um,
I agree. Can I insert a but? Because I'm listening to you, but I want to say something now.
yes.
So let me just speak to what you're saying because I think this is an important rebuttal, kind of the flip side of what you just said, and we've had this conversation. So when we were recording our podcast episode on relationships, one of the
Hmm.
points that you made was this relationship is 100% my responsibility and it's 100% your responsibility.
Hmm.
And so I would carry that sense of taking responsibility over into the situation you just said. So if the kids, well, like right now, I can't exactly get away from them because one of us needs to be parenting right now. So, but other situations, if I'm on my phone and they're trying to talk to me because I'm standing in the kitchen on my phone, if I take responsibility for myself, the reality of the situation is maybe I shouldn't be on my phone in the kitchen. If I
Hmm.
need to do something that's really important, and we've said this to each other, and we still need to get better at this.
Hmm.
But if I need to do something that's really important, if I need to read this article right now, or I want to read this article right now, you can certainly say, hey guys, I'm in the middle of something, give me 5 minutes. But I
Yeah.
would say if it's a regular occurrence, you need to step out of there's nothing wrong with being on your phone. There's nothing wrong with reading an article. There's nothing wrong with going on social media within reason. But step out of the room if you're having that issue where the kids feel like they're not being listened to, or you feel like you're not listening to them and you're getting frustrated because they keep interrupting you and you shouldn't have to listen to them because you're in the middle of something, which is fairly legitimate. Step out
Hmm.
of the room because you need to take responsibility for that. And
Yeah.
so, like, if you're trying to write something, we've had this conversation. If you're trying to write something and I keep talking to you and the kids keep talking to you and you get annoyed, step out of the room and finish it and then come back and be present. You're going to finish it way faster. You're not going to, right? So take responsibility when you feel like you shouldn't have to listen, which
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. I mean, this is a turn that I wasn't expecting in the conversation.
Yeah. It's a very good point.
All right. You mentioned listening, just waiting for your turn to talk.
Hmm.
That was one of my things. I'm a hardcore D personality in a lot of ways. Some ways I'm not, but
A lot
I
of people don't.
have, okay. So like there are a lot of different stereotypes, archetypes, whatever word you want to use. A D personality, if I were to sum it up, is get to the point. Why
Hmm.
are we standing around chit chatting? Right? Get down to business. And there are other personality types. Obviously, if you're doing, the Enneagram, if you're doing, we don't even need to go. It makes my
Hmm.
head spin how many kinds there are.
Hmm.
Type A, type B, all this stuff. I'm sure everyone can relate to somebody who, in a situation, in a conversation, um, doesn't necessarily want to stand around and chit chat, not in a rude way. Let's get down to business. So, in that sense, I'm sure you're laughing because I'm sure you can think of many, many different times that I've been like, oh, okay, what's your point? Like, can we move on to the next thing now?
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
it's really hard for someone like that to, yeah, keep your comments to yourself, Ashley. It's really hard for a D personality to harness that in a productive way. So you love Shalene Johnson and her podcast. You were listening to one of the episodes the other day. I don't know if you were talking about it or I went and listened to it, whatever. She was talking about, she said, is it an ADHD thing where like someone's talking and it's like, yeah, I got it. Can we talk about the next thing? Is it an ADHD thing or is it just rude? And my response was, well, it's a personality thing. It has nothing to do with ADHD. It can be rude and you
Hmm.
have to be careful. And so I'm glad you brought that up, waiting for your turn to talk, because I know we both do that, but I probably don't do it very well. Um, so I think that's an important one. It's not my turn to talk.
Hmm.
Just because you're sharing a story doesn't mean I need to share my story about how the same thing happened to me and it was so much worse and I like one upping you.
Hmm.
Um, it's not going to make you feel valid, heard, understood. It's not going to make you feel good for whatever the reason is. And I think you said it was a really truly listening is a practice. And I
Yeah.
agree. You have to think through this baggage, if you want to call it that you have,
Hmm.
not you, but everyone that we have. So like I grew up in a house of three boys. I'm the middle of three boys. I don't care how perfect parents are when they have three kids, especially three boys competing for attention. You can't make all three feel like they're heard, even if you're a perfect parent. And so I
Hmm.
have a chip on my shoulder, like, if you're not listening to me, I'm not important. So that
Hmm.
hurts my feelings. And I also have the D personality thing thrown into the mix where it's like, hurry up and get to the point, my turn. And then everyone has this ego trip of, oh, well, my story's better or worse or even more important. Yeah. And it's not trying to be mean to the other person, it's trying to validate your ego. And so you have to be aware of all that baggage that you're carrying.
Hmm.
I have to be aware, okay, if Ashley's in the middle of talking, it's not wait for my turn. I have to make her feel heard. in
Mm-hmm.
order to connect with her, in order to help her or just let her unpack what she's talking about. I
Yeah.
can't one up her story because it's not about me. If I
Mm-hmm.
one up her story, her I'm stealing her story. I'm stealing her expression.
Yeah.
And it's not going to make me feel any better. It's not going to make her feel any better. She's probably going to react pretty negatively to me one upping her, whether it's clear or just in her mind.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I don't need to compete with her to be heard. I'm not 7 years old anymore. I don't have two brothers running around the house.
Yeah.
So, like, being able to do that is that kind of that introspection, looking inside yourself, is important. And kind of like gratitude, though, like in the moment,
It's tough.
it's hard. i
Yeah.
can i can be thinking, let her talk, let her talk, let her talk, and 2 seconds later interrupt you. I probably did it on this conversation.
But even if you have to tell yourself, let her talk, let her talk, let her talk, you're still not truly listening because you're talking to yourself, telling yourself something. So like that's why I said it's an act of like it's like a learning process. You have to grow a muscle to learn how to listen. I feel like that's
Yeah,
what you have to do. Because if you're constantly saying, and I do this too, let them finish, let them finish, let them finish, let them say what they need to say. It's like
you're focusing on that.
you're focusing on that instead of really listening. Um, and it's an interesting combination, you and I, because you are very like short, get to the point, but you love to talk, which is interesting.
I
But
don't know what you're talking about.
and also like I sometimes, not actually, a lot of the time will go on and on and on about whatever I'm talking about. Like I'll have to start and say every bit of what I'm talking about, but the reason why I have to do that is because that's how I process. Whatever I'm telling you, if I'm trying to process a situation, I actually need to verbalize it and say every little piece of my story so that I can process through whatever just happened. And that's annoying to you because you're like, can you just tell me what happened at the end? And like, that's good. I know this.
Spoiler alert.
Um,
Give me the ending. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
so you learn this through your kids because we have kids like that too. We have kids that are just like about their whole everything, and it's like you can't
Hmm.
just say like get to the point because they have to say it out loud to process through whatever is going on. Um,
Yeah, you can't say get to the point because it will just repeat the generational programming that we're suffering from. So
yes,
if you think about what I just said about unpacking my baggage, that, let's take the easy one where, I'm one of three kids competing for attention with the other kids. If we turn around and say to one of our four kids, we just made the problem way worse because we had an extra one.
yeah,
If we turn around and say to one of our four kids, yeah, what's your point? Get to the point. Hurry up. Like, that's just repeating the whole and I'm not trying to slam my parents, but I'm aware of the problem.
yeah,
We're talking about the problem. They could have done it perfectly and still had the problem, but we can't actively contribute to that problem if we want to break the chains
yeah,
that were probably almost definitely generational.
yeah,
um,
for sure.
so I don't know if I keep interrupting you, and we're talking about listening. I don't know if you were going somewhere else with that. Um, I have something else to say if you're not, but go ahead.
No, I think what I said was, I mean, basically
Okay.
sums it. It's a practice. It's something that you
Yeah.
get better at over time, and the more aware you become of your actions and how you show up in a conversation, I think the it's like healing. It's like anything that you do work on yourself. You have to constantly be intentional and aware of how you show up in situations and especially conversations with this quote. So
Yeah.
that's all I have to say.
So you mentioned healing just then, and that speaks to what I wanted to say a second ago, which is, it reminds me of we have this conversation in a lot of these coffee talks or podcast episodes that we're recording. Respecting each other's journey or evolution, or growth, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
If so, you said talking through things is how you process. You
Mm-hmm.
personally, Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
So that's helpful for me a lot of times. That's probably like number two in how I process. Number one in how I process is writing
Yeah.
things. And as I'm writing them, and I'm a very visual person. You're auditory, so it makes sense why talking things through helps you. I'm very visual, a visual learner. As I see the page fill up, I feel it empty out of my brain. And as I'm writing it, it starts to become more clear in what I want to say. So
Yeah.
I can sit down with a problem and not know how to handle it. And by the time I'm done writing it, the solution has appeared. And you could call that, a gift from the universe given by God, divine, whatever you want to call it, or it's just how I process. I don't
Yeah.
really care your spirit. I do care about your spiritual beliefs, but in this context, it doesn't matter. You
Yeah.
understand how that works. So I have to respect your journey, your evolution, though, and otherwise I'm interfering with your growth.
Yeah.
And so if your style of processing is talking, I can't I can't keep interrupting you. I have to let you express
Yeah.
uh, and and allow you to process. And something I'm surprised we haven't touched on yet. I have to not do this is a stereotypical guy thing, but I think it's more broad than that. I have to not try and fix a problem when you're telling me about it,
Yeah.
right? You saying, "Oh my God, I'm so upset about such and such." Me going into problem fixing mode is not helping.
No.
That's not listening. I mean, sometimes it helps. Like there's a bear chasing our kids. Can you go fix that? Yes, that would be a good time to solve a problem. But if I'm truly listening to you, if I'm truly respecting and honoring your journey and your evolution, I need to listen and I need to control whether it's a male thing or a personality thing or whatever that let me fix it. Here's your solution. Stop talking. Stop talking. Here's how you fix it. I
Yeah.
can't do that because then I'm not fixing or I'm sorry, then I'm not allowing your evolution. And I don't know we gotta wrap up, but I
Yeah.
don't know if it's I want to say it's a Tony Robbins story. It might be somebody totally different. The short version is he has a really rich, successful mentor, whoever this is, and the guy takes him out to dinner
Oh yeah.
repeatedly. And so finally, if it's Tony or somebody else, is like, well, I don't have a lot of money, but it's really meaningful to me to I'm getting all the information from this relationship. He's dropping all this knowledge on me. I'm going to pay for dinner. So he pays for dinner before the guy can grab the check. I don't know how the details don't matter. And afterwards, this rich, successful guy has all the money in the world. And the mentee, the learning, whether it's Tony or somebody else, has tried to do something nice and meaningful for him. And the mentor says, basically, why'd you do that?
Yeah.
How dare you steal my joy of paying for your dinner? And all that, there's a lot of meaning to unpack there, which we don't have to unpack. But if you apply it to this, like, who am I to steal from your evolution
Yeah.
by not listening, by trying to fix the problem, by not letting you process in the way you process, right?
Yeah.
So I think that sums it up. Like, it's not joy in this case, but it's your evolution. Who am I to steal from your evolution?
Yeah.
All
It,
right. You have anything else you want to add?
it was Tony.
It was Tony.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
was
I'm
Tony.
not getting that old. I still have
No.
some memory.
Yeah.
You keep telling me I'm growing gray hair.
I think
I don't see it.
this actually has, it's not anything to do with the quote, but so I process through telling stories, but I wanted to mention, and also, even if you don't process that way and you just want to vent to your husband or whoever you're venting to, if it's a person that likes to fix things, you need to make it clear in the beginning of the conversation, like, I just need to vent right now, or I just need to vent, and then can you help me come up with a solution because I'm really struggling.
Yeah.
because there's times and there's moments where I honestly just need to vent, to process. And then there's times where I need to vent and also I want help with the solution because I'm
Yep.
struggling. Um, and he's not a mind reader, so he doesn't know which situation it is at what time because they sound very similar. If I'm upset or if I'm venting, they sound similar. So,
Well, and
um,
it's like blood in the water, right? With a shark. So I see a problem, like I see a nail, I'm going to get my hammer.
yeah,
I see a problem, I'm trying to fix it. So you need to, and I don't say this expression uh, to put myself down. You need to idiot proof it for me, so that I'm not even allowed, tempted to do it wrong. Like
yeah,
that's you that's very helpful to me, and I've asked you and given you permission to do that because I need that. It's like a reminder.
yeah. So I think,
Absolutely.
what did you say?
Hannah.
Yeah, yes, yes. Sometimes people just they don't need something fixed.
Yeah.
They just simply need to say what they need to say. And it's really hard because I'm a fixer too, and I didn't really know that about myself, but it's like sometimes you just need, because sometimes for me processing, me saying it out loud, like I'll come up with my own solution like 10 minutes later. And I heard that a lot about kids. When kids are struggling, parents hate to see them struggle. But a lot of the times, if you let them struggle, like throw the temper tantrum, scream, yell, whatever they need to do, they literally will come up with their own solutions on their own if given a chance. You just need to give them a chance without trying
Yeah.
to come in and save them and fix the problem.
And if you fix, so here's the parenting, we really got to get going, but here's the parenting conundrum that connects to this, right? And maybe Hannah can, because Hannah said she tries to fix everything too. Maybe
Yes.
Hannah can relate to this, and I'll give you a quick example. If we solve all their problems for them, if we use the kids as an example, how are
Yeah.
they going to ever learn to be their own problem solvers?
They're,
And so last night, our third child, 4-year-old, we had homemade macaroni and cheese. Um, she wanted to eat. The forks were all dirty, so and the dishwasher wasn't run. So we were waiting. The 7-year-old, whose job it is to put the forks on the table, was waiting for somebody to wash the forks. So our 4-year-old's like, I want to eat, and nobody knew this was happening. She just decided, well, screw this. I'm gonna go get a spoon. I'm gonna start eating my friggin' dinner. So I walk in the dining room and she's sitting at the table shoving macaroni and cheese in her face with a spoon. And I was like, well, I mean that works. It's like, why do you have a spoon? She's like, well, the forks were all dirty. I went in the drawer, there weren't any clean forks, and I wanted to eat. I was like, okay, cool. Good problem solving. Stubborn and problem solving. I like it. Sign me up.
it,
So,
yeah.
all right. On that note, we really got to get going. We got a field trip. We're going on an adventure. We'll be back to 8:30, the normal time next week.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you. Thank you for jumping on with us. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.